Today's video is brought to you by this fabric and the fact that I wanted to go frolic in the woods in a beautiful dress looking all aesthetic. But it's a bit chilly outside. To me, cottagecore is all these beautiful flowy summer dresses in dainty patterns. But what do you do if you want to dress the aesthetics, but it's the middle of the winter? Well, you make yourself a beautiful flowy dress from the thickest wool. Of course! I used the free Calante dress pattern from the Mood Fabrics website, so if you feel the same way, you can sew along with me. I'll link the pattern down in the description. And now, let's get started by making a mock-up. So, this is the mock-up. You can see it's a bit loose. I think I will cut one size smaller the next time. The sleeve I'm not so sure about. I don't actually like puffy sleeves that much, so I might adjust that. But otherwise, this is a very cute pattern, and with its current length, it would be a perfect summer dress. But for winter, I think I will add a couple of inches to the bottom of it. I already had the mock-up on, so I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to decide which way and angle do I want my tartan fabrics chevrons to go. And I'm just realizing, I didn't even tell you what the plan is yet. I'm gonna make the warmest, flowiest winter dress ever, with chevrons running through all the pattern pieces, which will surely be a challenge, with matching mittens and a winter-themed headpiece. With pattern matching projects, everything is twice as hard as it should be, so the next step, cutting the pattern out, was a task to contend with. The first pieces I cut out was the front middle, as that would be the most visible one on the finished garment, so that one needed to be perfect. Then I marked where the lines hit on the princess seam on the front side piece, so I knew where to line it on the fabric. And you probably already picked up on the problem I was about to realize. It was a curved princess seam. The lines I drew were not parallel anymore. That sent me into a pit of desperation for a bit, until I realized that all I had to do was to change the angle a little bit and make sure all my markings hit the right lines on the fabric. I cut the back pieces the same way, cutting the middle back piece first in 2 goes to create a chevron, then matching the side panels to that one. I cut the side skirt panels longer and also wider to give the skirt more fullness. The moment I cut anything out, I searched it right away, as this fabric doesn't just fray, it dissolves. It is a beautiful wool, but it has quite a loose weave, and that makes it so flimsy. So I decided to use a fusible interface to line the bodice pieces at least. Once everything was cut and serged, I ironed the interfacing on. I began the assembly of the garment with sewing the middle back pieces together. Look at that! It's always so satisfying to open it and see the lines match perfectly. After it came the hardest and the most tedious part, assembling the pieces while making sure that all the patterns matched just right. And this is where I realized I shot myself in the foot by choosing a tartan pattern. Because I could have just done it with a normal stripy fabric and had fun trying to match those lines up, but no, I had to choose a fabric that was striped both ways with different thickness of lines. I assembled the pieces in pretty much the same order as I cut them. First the back pieces together, then the side back pieces to that, then the side back skirt pieces to those two. Same with the front ones. I basted all the pieces, first carefully pinning them. With the princess seam, of course matters only got worse, so I matched those up on the right side of the fabric first, pinched them together with my fingers, and I basted it from the wrong side. Then I finally sewed them together with the machine. So here it is all assembled with a mock-up sleeve, and I'm very happy with it actually. The fit is pretty much perfect. Except for the sleeve, which is a little bit tight at the elbow, which I need to fix. Other than that, I will have to line the bodice unfortunately, because it is quite itchy, even with the interfacing in. So I was just trying this on again one more time before I put in the lining and the sleeves to just see the fit and everything. I think I still have to take in some more from the side seams because it's a bit loose. Like, it would be a lot better. And I just came up with an idea as I was trying it on. As you can see, this top is not really lined up. But wouldn't it be so much cooler if I would cut the top this way? Before putting the lining in, I ironed all the seams open, and because they didn't really want to stay that way, I also cross-stitched them down, only catching the interfacing layer, not the wool, so it won't be visible from the outside. I unfortunately had to do this, because the fabric is so thick that the moment one of the seams would uncurl, it would be visible. I cut the sleeves out and attached them to the bodice. And of course, this took so many attempts to get right that I got entirely distracted with making a wintry flower crown to go with the outfit instead. I made the base by bending a fake twig into the right size oval and closing it with the help of some wire. Then I wrapped my beautiful ferns around that base using hot glue when needed. And when the base is done, the fun part begins, the decorations. I used berries, leaves, and basically everything I could find around the house to zhuzh it up a little, because the ferns were not lush enough to my liking, and the store I bought them from didn't have any left in stock. So I had to make do. I assembled the lining pieces and pinned them to the main dress inside out. I stitched along the neckline, then I also understitched that seam. I tacked the bottom of the lining and the sleeve ends down by hand. I marked where I wanted to place my buttons and sewed them all the way down the front opening. The last step was, as always, fixing the hem. As this was an extra fussy fabric cut on the bias, I let it hang a couple of days on my form, then readjusted the length. I finished it with a bias tape that I sewed on, turned back with the iron on full steam, and tacked down by hand. are done. What? No, we aren't. Have you seen the weather outside? We will definitely need some mittens. I bought a pair of old wool ones off Facebook Marketplace, and even though they had some cute flowers on, I wanted a bit more spice. So I got to work, figuring out the design on paper first, then transferring it to a water-soluble stabilizer fabric that I basted to the mitten. Believe it or not, I'd never really done hand embroidery before, so I'm extremely happy with how these turned out.